back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video. I am excited to be doing this video. I am so pumped to be doing another tag. I love tag videos. They are so much fun and just a good way for you guys to get to know my reading tastes, and when I'm watching other booktubers, I get to know them a little bit better too. So I'm very excited to be doing the mid-year freakout book tag. I think that's what it's called, but I could be totally wrong about that. I'm not quite sure who the original person that created this tag was, but if I find it, I will go ahead and leave it in the description box below. This is a tag that I've seen floating around last year, and then of course this year now, but we're halfway through the year, which is insane to think about. But I'm very excited to be sharing this with you guys, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the tag. I'm actually going to jump in here before we start the tag, and I just want to say a huge great big thank you for 1,000 subscribers, and we are so close to 2,000 subscribers that it's almost surreal and crazy, and I cannot wrap my mind around it. I haven't had enough time to get my mental health in the right state, as well as find time to film a video for the first 1,000 subscribers. So I'm going to be doing a combined Q&A for 1,000 and 2,000 subscribers. So what I want to ask of you guys is to leave some comments down below of questions that you want me to answer during that video. Also, if you guys want to, you guys can follow me on my social media accounts, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and leave questions for me there so that I can answer them during that video. I am so excited to be providing this for you guys, and I'm just so blessed to say that I can talk to that many of you guys, and I've been loving talking to you guys in the comments and just gushing about books with you guys, and it's been so much fun. So thank you so much. I love you guys so much. I'm not going to blabber on too much more because this video is probably going to be long as it is, but thank you so much, and let's get on to the video. So the first question is the best book that I've read so far in 2020, and I tried to pick a book that I don't talk about often on my channel, and I read this book last month and I loved it, and that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. This book was so good. It surprised me so much. It was a book that I really didn't expect to love as much as I did. I love romance, but this book was a 5-star. It gave me all the feels. I cried reading this, like cried. It made me happy. It made me giddy, and just felt so warm after reading this. And the relationship was such a slow burn that I was just so in love with the characters and was wanting the best for them up until the very last page. And so I really love this book. If you guys haven't already picked this up, you totally should. This is a book about two writers who have extreme writer's block, and they are both at their summer beach houses, really trying to work on their writing, and they meet each other and create this friendship, and during that time they decide to make a pact or a deal or whatever you want to call it, where they write each other's genres. So January, the main character, instead of writing romance, she's going to write literary fiction, and Gus is going to write romance instead of literary fiction. So they switch genres, and the person that sells the book first, the other person will endorse it, and it's just a wonderful romance that grows from there, and it's just so much depth in this book and so many things that I just didn't expect, and I would definitely recommend it. Okay, so the next book is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2020. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the most popular opinion. This series is very polarizing. Either you love it or you hate it. I didn't necessarily absolutely love the first book, but the second book was phenomenal, and that is The Wicked King by Holly Black, which is the sequel to The Cruel Prince. And after reading the first book, honestly, after thinking about it, I felt disappointed by the book, but then I picked up the second book, and it was everything that I wanted in the first book that I just didn't get, and this book was fantastic. Obviously, I'm not going to talk too much about the second book, but I liked the way that Holly Black just really amped up the characters in this book, the relationships in this book, the intrigue, the deception, everything that you got in the first book. She just amped it up by 10, and I really enjoyed it. If you guys don't know what The Cruel Prince is about, it is about a group of sisters who are kind of kidnapped from the human world and taken to the Fae world, where they are thought lesser of because they're human. And the main character, Jude, is in a very interesting situation because she wants a place of power in this world, but she doesn't have that because she's human, and so she's really fighting for that in her life. And she also has this very toxic relationship with a guy that's in there. He's very abusive and cruel, as the title says, and it's definitely not a romance heavy first book for sure, but I I think that if you guys like fairies and are interested in the story, I would pick it up. I would just say keep in mind that the book is not for everyone, and some people really just didn't love the first book. Okay, so the next question is a book that is a new release that you haven't read yet, and that is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This was my what month are we in? June pick for book of the month, and I'm so excited for this. I am surprised that I'm so excited to be reading a historical fiction book, but this just sounds so good. It is basically about two sisters who grow up in the same neighborhood but grow up very different. One is black and the other one is white passing, and it's just about how they escape from this city that they live in to lead different lives, and years later you are following their stories and how different they are, and it just sounds so good. It's about black characters written by a black author, and just a book that I really want to get to sometime soon. Okay, so the next one is a book that is being released that you are very excited about. If you guys haven't seen my most anticipated new releases, I will leave that in the cards above. Go ahead and check that out, where I talk about all the books that I'm really excited about, but the one that I am most excited for is definitely The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I just am so excited for this. This is one of those books that just sounds so enthralling, and just a book that's going to keep you interested to the very end. This is about a woman named Addie LaRue who makes a bargain for her life, and with this bargain comes great consequences. Basically, every person that she ever meets will forget her name and her, basically, after they meet. And after 300 years, 3 centuries, she finally walks into a bookstore and meets a man who knows her name, and it just sounds so mysterious, and I have so many questions, and I am so excited for that. I think it's coming out in October, so when that comes out, I will definitely be reading it. Okay, so the next question is the biggest disappointment that you've had this year, and I could have picked from quite a bit of them. I also have a video up on my channel about the top 10 most disappointing books that I've read so far this year, but I would have to say my biggest disappointment is Crazy Rich Asians. I just had so much writing on this. I had so much hope for this book, and it just didn't pan out the way that I wanted to. Overall, I just didn't love it. I loved the movie, and I would definitely watch the movie a million times over, but I would never pick this book up again. I would never reread it. And overall, I'm just like kind of disappointed that I read it because it just wasn't good. If you guys want more in-depth thoughts about why I didn't like it, go ahead and check out that video. I also have a reading vlog where I read this as well. It was my spring into reading-a-thon vlogs where I read this, and I talked more in depth about my feelings about why I didn't like it. So there you go. Okay, the next question is the biggest surprise, and that is The Chaos Standing Still by Jessica Brody. This was a book that I picked up at a library book sale and had really no intentions of loving this book. I just really liked the cover. I liked the synopsis. It sounded good, but I didn't think this was going to be a book that I absolutely loved. And when I read this for my April Showers reading vlog, I loved it. I fell in love with it. This is the most surprising book that I've read this year. It was just one of those books that was so incredible. It had so many awesome themes in this book, so many lessons that I learned and the main character learned along this journey, and at the end of the book I was just like, why aren't more people talking about this book? Because it was so good. This is basically about a young girl who is struggling with the death of her best friend. It is coming up on the year of her best friend's anniversary, and she is flying home to be with her parents, and unfortunately she gets stuck in an airport during a snowstorm, and her phone gets swapped with a boy who has the same phone case as her, and she has a text message that's on her phone from her best friend from the day that she died that she still has yet to read. She just feels that if she reads this text message, she will lose the last thing that she has of her best friend. And it's a wonderful story of grief and moving on and survival. And there's a lot of topics of anxiety and coping with death. And it was just such a fantastic book. I would 100% recommend this if you haven't already read it. It is so fantastic. Okay, the next question is favorite new author, either debut or new to you. And this one is a bit hard for me because I haven't read enough of one singular author to say that they are my favorite. However, I have read a couple of authors that I really love their writing style and have books that I think are really awesome and are on track to being one of my new favorite authors, but the two that I would say that I've read enough of their work to say that I really like their writing style would be Sarah J. Maas. I really loved her writing style in Throne of Glass, and I'm also in the middle of House of Earth and Blood, and I really enjoyed reading her work and seeing how deep her characters go, and she has an awesome way of creating relationships in her books that is just so much fun and is just so awesome to read. The next author that I would say would be Shauna McGuire. I have read 2 books in the Wayward Children series, and I really loved her writing style. I think that it's such an awesome concept for a story, and I really like it. So those would be the 2 authors that I've enjoyed their writing style enough to say that they're on track to being my new favorite authors, but I don't have ones that I can say, yes, love them, love everything they've written. So hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be able to answer that question. So the next question is the newest fictional crush that you have, and I don't really fall in love with my characters like that. Do I love them when I'm reading about them, and do I love them for the people that they're with? 100%, but not really something that I crush on. So I don't feel like I can answer that question properly. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next question, which is your newest favorite character. And I would have to say that this is from a book that I really loved and I've talked a lot about on my channel, and that is The Last Magician. I adored this book so much, and I'd have to say my favorite character so far that I've read is Esta. I absolutely love her character. She has so much depth. She is a strong female character, which I love to read about in books, but she also has a tough life, and she's okay with accepting sometimes that things are not going to go her way, but she's also strong-willed and won't give up, and just has so much fight in her that I just love. I love this character. I'm really hoping that I can get over my fear of the second book because it's just so big that I haven't been able to get myself to finish it, but I love this character. I love the story. If you guys haven't read The Last Magician, I 100% recommend it. It's so fantastic. The next book that I want to talk about are books that make me cry. Now, if you guys have watched my videos before or seen any of my vlogs, I cry so easily. I can cry over a commercial. I can cry looking at a newspaper, for God's sake. I can cry over anything. So crying is not a big deal to me, but the book that has made me cry the most, like other than my favorite book of all time, which is 5 Feet Apart, that is The Last Song. This book just really got me in the feels. If you guys haven't seen the movie or don't know what this book is about a girl and her brother who go to visit their dad for the summer, and they don't have the best relationship. What is her name? Ronnie. Ronnie doesn't have the best relationship with her dad after he kind of like separated from their life, and it's just about their relationship, and as well as a romance in this book, obviously Nicholas Sparks, but it's about their relationship and their growth over time and how they come back together, and it's just such a wonderful book. The movie is fantastic as well, and this book just, whew, it got me for sure. Okay, so the next book that I'm going to talk about is the book that made you happy, and that is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. I fell in love with these characters, even though this book was a bit slow and it didn't have as much of a plot as I was wanting to out of the book, the characters made up for it so much, and at the end of this book I was smiling and needed to pick up the second one ASAP. I do have it on my shelves and I need to get to it ASAP, but the characters in this book just made me so happy, and I just love them. I have so much love for these characters, and for that I would have to say this is the book that made me the happiest out of the ones that I haven't already talked about today. Okay, so the next question, second to the last question, is the most beautiful book that you bought this year. I also have a video up about the beautiful books that I bought because of the covers, so if you guys haven't seen that video, you won't probably be able to guess what I'm gonna pick, but if you have seen that video, you already know. And that, of course, is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This book, there's no other competitor to the beauty of this book. It is gorgeous. It is wonderful. I love it so much. I've talked about this book so much on my channel just for the fact that it is gorgeous. The cover of this book is beautiful. The inside end pages of this book are gorgeous. The art on this is just fantastic. I don't know how they did this, but it is wonderful and definitely has taken the cake for the most beautiful book that I have on my shelves. And the last and final question that I want to share with you guys today is a book that I need to read by the end of this year. I picked a stack of books that I want to talk about. First of them being House of Earth and Blood. I really just need to read this. I put this on 3 TBRs now and have not gone around to it. So that is one that I want to talk about, but these other ones are books that I have mentioned in several videos now, but books that I just really want to read. The first one is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo, a book written in verse about sisters that don't know that they exist until their father dies in a plane crash, and now they know about each other, and it's just about dealing with grief as well as becoming a new addition to somebody's life, and it just sounds so amazing. I've heard great reviews on that, and I really need to get to it. The second one is A Phoenix First Must Burn. This is a anthology about Black girl magic. Some of the authors are Elizabeth Acevedo and Patrice Cadwell, and some of the stories in here I just sound so fantastic, and I really want to get to this. And then the last one is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I've heard great things about the first book in this series, and another book that I have just been putting off reading and really need to get to it. All of these books are written by Black authors about Black main characters, and something that I just really want to prioritize this year and read more of. So these are the books that I just have to read before the end of the year. Alright, these are all of the books that I talked about in today's video. What a huge stack. I didn't realize I was going to be talking about so many books today, but I'm glad I got to share with you guys a little bit more about my first half of the year. I would love to hear you guys chat a little bit in the comments below, answer some of the questions that were in this tag. If you do this tag, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to watch it. I've been having so much fun watching everybody's responses to these questions. But other than that, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And of course, leave any comments, questions, suggestions in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.